Nick Saban says that it's unfair how some teams build their rosters in college football with $30 million of name, image, and likeness money, while other schools can only afford to spend like $3 million on the roster. In fact, he's long touted some of these competitive balance arguments since he's been out of coaching, and even when he was in coaching, as a matter of fact. And until we get to that point, the current system, he says, is unsustainable. He's spot on all of this. Now, Ryan Day and Ohio State just spent over $20 million of name, image, and likeness money on their roster that just won the national championship. In fact, both starting quarterbacks in Monday's national championship game, Will Howard at Ohio State, Riley Leonard at Notre Dame, they transferred into their respective schools, and both were presented large amounts of money to do so. Saban is absolutely right that we have an imbalance of financial power in college football, and neither Saban nor I are insinuating that Ohio State did anything wrong. No, quite the contrary. They took the current system, they used it better than anybody else, and now they're national champions. You know, we can look at other schools too. Oregon did not spend $20 million on its Big Ten championship roster. In fact, in a moment, I'll share with you what they did spend, and it's a lot lower than you probably think. But, you know, they had a collective, and maybe had they collected more name, image, and likeness money, maybe their season would have continued past the playoff round loss to Ohio State. But they did get a Big Ten championship out of it. And that doesn't mean Oregon has been ineffective with the money that they have and how they spend it. You know, you go back and look at a bunch of players at Oregon over the past couple of years. Quarterback Bo Nix transferred in from Auburn. And, you know, not only did he make a lot of money, but he rejuvenated his career. And he just finished a successful rookie season in the NFL with the Denver Broncos. So the system worked for him. I'd argue it worked for Oregon, and it worked for him. Worked for the player, worked for the team. After he left, Dillon Gabriel shocked everybody at Oklahoma when he announced his departure to Oregon before last season. He won a Big Ten title. He became a Heisman finalist. Not too bad. Again, for the player and the team. It worked out. And name, image, and likeness money, it lured other effective players at Oregon in Eugene. Receivers like Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, Trayshawn Holden. It all worked out. And when it works, name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal, they go hand in hand, and it works great. But there could be problems as well. Sometimes things don't always work out. For example, Wisconsin defensive back Xavier Lucas. He's trying to transfer to Miami, but the Badgers refuse to release him into the transfer portal because they say they have a binding 2-year name, image, and likeness deal, and contracts mean something. Plus, frankly, Luke Fickell entering a pivotal third year with the Badgers, he needs to start winning some football games. He's probably not going to be too quick to let players go out the door. Sounds like he kind of put his foot down on this matter for his own benefit. Don't blame him, but I think that's probably part of the equation. By the way, the Big Ten issued a statement on this Wisconsin situation, and they're backing Wisconsin in this player dispute. The conference says, look, revenue sharing is here. It's at our doorstep. It's going to start here. Contracts have to be honored. So they're backing the school and not the player on this. And situations like this might be what Nick Saban is talking about when he says that he, agrees players should be compensated. Doesn't have any problem with that. He said it always isn't in the best interest of players. Like a situation like this where a player's kind of stuck might be what he's talking about. And situations like this Wisconsin problem prove that Saban was right when he says the college football landscape, it's just not sustainable. We're going to have problems. We already do have problems. We're going to have more problems. Now, I like what Saban says here and in other venues on other topics as well, all the time. Anytime he speaks, I listen. I think it's fascinating to talk about, both back when he was a coach, as a motivator, as a coach, and now as a commentator on the game over at ESPN. And he talks about a myriad of subjects. And I think his opinion is always very important and well taken by everybody that listens to him. he's always making comments and suggestions on TV regarding the health of college football, and they always make sense. And it's always about things that are concerning to college football in today's world. And after all, it's these very topics that got him to retire from the game. He didn't want to deal with all of this stuff, so he just left. I don't think he should go too far from college football. I like that he's on TV talking about it, but I think he should take it a step further. I think somebody with some brains should take Nick Saban, and instead of have him talk on TV every week, somebody should take his wealth and experience and knowledge and success and opinions and make him the commissioner of college football. I know, we don't have a commissioner in college football. That's part of the problem. We should. So, look, I've been saying this for years. All major sports have a commissioner in case there's problems or conflicts, somebody that can get right to the middle of the issue and make some decisions. While all major sports have commissioners, the NCAA's conferences have commissioners. There's a Big Ten commissioner. There's an SEC commissioner. But they all act in their own best interests for their individual conferences. And what's good for the Big Ten might not be good for the ACC or the Big 12 or the ACC or the Mountain West. That's why I think you need a commissioner, an umbrella over all of it. But the NCAA that exists as it does today above the conferences, they're feckless. They're weak. Their lack of proactiveness with issues like NIL and portals and soon revenue sharing has been coming down the pike. We've been seeing it coming, and now it's here. And they did nothing. They buried their head in the sand, didn't do anything. Now we got everybody playing on an uneven surface. Some schools are doing this, some are that. Some can do this, some can't. That's what Nick Saban's talking about right now. It's quickly becoming more and more the haves versus the have-nots. You need somebody in control, make this a level playing field. And the playing field is nowhere near being be even right now. It's the wild, wild west out there. You want some stats to back it up? Told you a minute ago, Ohio State spent about $20.2 million on its roster, giving it to its players this year. They were not the highest. Texas was the highest. They spent $22.2 million. Interesting, both those teams made it pretty far into the playoffs. LSU coming in at $20 million. Georgia, fourth at 18.3. You think maybe they'd be a little higher. Texas A&M, 17.2. Michigan, top six, $16.3 million. Of course, they just put together a $12 million deal to get the number one recruit in the country in Bryce Underwood. Couldn't have done that if they didn't have a nice nil collective all set and ready to go. Alabama at $15.9 million. Florida at 15.8. And Clemson is 15.2. Interesting, because Clemson really doesn't dabble in the transfer portal business. So they have all these millions of dollars. They use them on the players they have or high school players coming up that they recruit. Oklahoma rounds out the top 10 at 14.8. Not getting a lot of bang for their buck these days, are they? Teams 11, 12, and 13 are actually all Big Ten teams on this list. Penn State at 13.7 million, Indiana at 13.6, and Michigan State at 13. Penn State and Indiana were playoff teams. Michigan State right there with them with the money. I haven't seen the results just yet with Jonathan Smith and the team. That harkens back to when Mel Tucker was fired, and there were a couple of days of rumors that maybe they were trying to get Urban Meyer to kick the tires on coming out of retirement. They said, look, we got facilities, we got a fan base, and we have Nil. They started putting Nil back, a lot of money together. Got $13 million ready to go. Oregon, 19th at 10.6. I told you earlier, they don't spend as much as you think because they got Phil Knight and Nike right there. Everybody goes, oh, Oregon's got all the money they need. They spent half as much as Ohio State did this year. Now, Oregon won a Big Ten championship, but Ohio State won a national championship. And interesting, right there with them, Iowa, 9.6 million, Washington, 9.4, and Illinois, 9.3. Iowa doesn't really seem like a school that slings a lot of money. So Oregon is in the same department as Iowa and Washington and Illinois, and they're all like half of what Ohio State is spending at the top of that list. Anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting to look at the difference between the have and the have-nots, just even with the Big Ten. I just ran through the top 25 schools in the country, and the difference between 1 and 25 is over $10 million. And you could go even further down the list with schools that really aren't able to participate as much. But anyway, look, it all needs to be evened out somehow. And I never said Ohio State did anything wrong. Congratulations to them. They nailed it. They did it right. They're cruising, and they're going to keep on going. Later on, we'll have the odds to the favorites to win the national championship next year. Some of these money teams are right there on the list. We'll take a look at that. But in the meantime, I'd like to see a guy like Nick Saban become commissioner of college football. That would make a lot of sense. It won't happen. It's a pipe dream, but that's what I'd like to see. How about you? Hit me up with the comments there on YouTube as well. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. And that way you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. And we have all of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we group them by school, and also links if you want to buy your favorite team's merchandise, maybe some Ohio State national championship T-shirts, maybe an Oregon Duck Big Ten champion hat, something like that. It's all right there on our website, Talk Big Ten. So check that out at talkbig10.com. Love to have you visit that website. In the meantime, some other things I want to get to. Paul Feinbaum and the SEC have admitted defeat. Yes, the Big Ten is better. I'll have the story. Revenue sharing is forcing staff and budget cuts at least one Big Ten school. More are coming. Buckeye quarterback transfers out right after the national championship. And I mentioned those early odds to win the Natty next year. All that's coming up. We're loaded right here on this episode of Locked On Big Ten. Prize Picks makes playing games fun. It's the place to get real money, sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prize Picks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or the regular season, Prize Picks has made it easier than ever to win big while playing and enjoying all the football action here. What you do is you group some players together, 2 players, 3 players, 6 players, put some stats with them, and you say more than or less than with those stats. And then you can sit back. You could win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right, 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. It's very easy. Plus, they got their flex play where you could still double your money, or even if one of your picks doesn't hit, you're still good to go. And the app is very easy. You get your winnings sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, just $50 for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game.